Okay, so hello everyone. I'm James Allum. I manage the European region here at Payoneer, and today I'm joined with Callum Campbell, who's the CEO of Linnworks. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, James. How are you doing?
Yeah, great to see you. Would you mind giving a quick overview of Linnworks for those that haven't heard of you before?
Yeah, sure. So with Linnworks, we are an e-commerce platform that empowers brands and retailers to connect commerce everywhere so that they don't miss out on any opportunity to grow their revenues wherever their customers are. So essentially what that means is we help brands and retailers make sure that their products are available for sale wherever their customers might be shopping. So eBay, Amazon, on their website, Wayfair, Etsy, Walmart, all these different environments where consumers are shopping. We help them manage that from a central platform and then integrate and control all of the operations around that to deliver a great experience to customers.
That's a pretty broad area. So do you have specific target customers, or is it as broad as it sounds?
So I think certainly our sort of total market is very broad. Ultimately, the problem that we solve applies really to small businesses, SMEs, right through to global multinationals. So we have a very wide range of customers using our platform, but increasingly, winning lots of customers in the mid-market and the enterprise space. But we do have thousands of businesses, smaller businesses, using the platform as well.
And then the platform itself, your business model, is it like a membership base or subscription model?
Yeah, it's a subscription model. So we're software as a service, so you can open an account with us and then you use that account to centrally control all of your business operations through the account.
Fantastic. Yeah. So 2020, it's been quite a year, and we're only just getting into Q4. So how do you reflect on things? How's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been crazy, hasn't it? I think it's obviously been a really tough year for a lot of people socially. It's exposed a lot of the deep cracks running through society. I think that's really evident. Economically, it's been fascinating to watch. I've been amazed by the breakdown in the correlations in the global financial markets and the relationships between the stock markets going one way and then underlying economies struggling the other way. So that's been fascinating to watch. And of course, as it reflects on it, e-commerce, of course, has been exploding. We at Linnworks have been very fortunate to be in an industry that has had a tailwind through this time. So, recognize that we've been fortunate, but e-commerce has been exploding and it's changing the way that a lot of people are shopping. And I think, as I reflect on it, though, it's, for all of us, it feels like, particularly in e-commerce, the future has shown up on our doorstep unannounced, and businesses everywhere are having to figure out, how do we welcome in this new future? How do we reevaluate our business model? How do we look at what products we're selling? And how do we make sure that we're focused on the stuff that's actually working in our business? We can't really afford to be wasteful in this type of climate. So yeah, it's been a crazy year, lots of big challenges, but also opportunities presented.
So how do you actually cut through that noise then in, such a shift toward the digital economy during this time? How have you been able to kind of find your voice?
Yeah, I think, there is a huge amount of noise out there. And I think the key thing for us has been just to really focus our business on what we're good at and make sure that our message is really clear to our target customers. We recognize that a lot of businesses out there have this problem around managing their inventory and orders across lots of different channels. And so just keeping that message really clear and simple for prospects, so that we can help them find a solution like ours if we're the right fit for their business, and make sure that they can be getting value and that they can move their business forward into this new world that's so heavily dominated by the e-commerce movement.
So it sounds like a pretty entrepreneurial customer base, and I guess hopefully they've been able to make the most of a difficult situation. But have they had any particular pain points that you've been able to help them with and they've been able to adapt to?
Yeah, I think there's lots of different pain points have been introduced. I think it's been amazing to see actually probably the success of our customer base through this time. We've seen massive surges in revenue that's coming through our platform, and that's attributed to our customer base. All of the sales that they're making all across their different selling channels online. So I think on the whole, it's been great to see that they've done really well. We've seen a big growth in e-commerce and market penetration. I think some of the challenges, though, the most obvious one might be around supply chain. Certainly with smaller businesses who've had maybe less buying power in the supply chain, they've felt some significant supply chain shocks. So that's been challenging. Access to stock. And then the other piece has actually been, that has been a function often of sales growth. They literally can't meet the demand that they've got. So that's been one piece. And then I think the second piece has been, around, particularly early on in the lockdown, some markets were closing whilst others were opening. So a lot of businesses were trying to figure out, how do we stay agile and adapt quickly to make our products available in the markets that are going big on e-commerce at this time. So where we saw lockdowns early on, we saw surges in e-commerce. So for example, in Italy, where there was that lockdown, lots of businesses were trying to figure out, well, how do we sell into the Italian market and make the most of that opportunity? And so we've been able to help our customers by making sure that they're plugged into local marketplaces and local channels so that they can make sales in those growing markets.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's been some pretty striking trends in 2020. Do you see them continue into 2021 and beyond, or something different coming our way now?
No, I think 2020 it's been pretty wild, but I think 2020 hasn't necessarily, in my opinion, changed the direction of the market. So I think e-commerce has been on a certain kind of journey, and it's just evident that has been accelerated through 2020 and therefore will be through 2021. So I don't think the direction's going to change, but I do think the trajectory is changing. Everything's happening a lot quicker. There's an acceleration. That curve is steeper. So the big trends in my mind, firstly, are around e-commerce penetration. So we've seen a massive uplift. We saw 10 years of growth in e-commerce delivered in the last 6 months. So that's been huge. It's engaged a whole new audience of online consumers, people that might never have considered online channels in the past to purchase goods. Now suddenly that's an option for them. So they're going to continue to consider online as a route to buying products and service. So I believe there's going to be an increasing penetration of e-commerce. I think that's trend number one. I think the shift towards direct to consumer, I think that's a second really significant trend that's happening in e-commerce. So that's been happening pre-COVID, but COVID has accelerated that. So what do I mean by direct to consumer? The idea that brands will buy, brands and manufacturers bypassing their sort of traditional retail networks and selling direct to the end consumer. Often, they'll have never done that before. We're seeing that brands are coming to use our product, bypassing their retailers and selling direct to the end consumer for the first time. And they're doing that firstly because by doing that, they can achieve more margin out of a sale. And secondly, by having direct relationships with the customer, they can gather data on the customer, understand the customer better, and ultimately optimize their product development, their marketing, etc. So e-com penetration, the shift to direct to consumer is really significant. And then thirdly, I think just the rise of the effortless economy. So by this, what I mean is the idea that consumers expect effortless commerce. The bar of consumer expectation is rising week on week, month on month. We're seeing that. And what we've seen over the past 6 months in particular is platforms like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and BuzzFeed, all of these platforms becoming commerce enabled. And the idea there really is that commerce is moving closer to the consumer. It's happening wherever consumers are spending their time online. It's becoming effortless for consumers. And so this mentality amongst consumers that commerce should be effortless is growing. It's got a greater reach. It's shifting that expectation. And the result is it creates many challenges for brands and retailers. I think the rise of the effortless economy is really significant in this time. So that's the third one. So e-com penetration, shift to direct to consumer, rise of the effortless economy. And then the fourth one, I think, is just the strength of marketplaces. Marketplaces have become increasingly dominant in the e-commerce landscape. They represent over 50% of the volume in the e-commerce market, and that's expected to grow. So, your eBays, your Amazons, we're seeing Walmart make big moves, but so many retailers are moving towards a marketplace style model, which becomes very strong in the marketplace. So those four trends, I think they've been in play pre-COVID, they've been accelerated through COVID, and I think they're here to stay beyond COVID. Yeah,
that's really interesting. So how does Linnworks continue to grow at that pace as well? If your customer base largely skewed towards e-commerce, is it really accelerating? What developments are you having to make to ensure you keep on top of it and grow at the same pace?
Yeah, absolutely. It presents plenty of challenges, like positive challenges for our business. But our big challenge is firstly, around growth for our customers. How do we make sure that we have the technical integrations into the channels where our customers want to be selling? So we're constantly adding new channel integrations to our platform to help our customers maximize their revenue. Secondly, is scalability of our platform. So as I mentioned, we've seen massive surges in volume coming through our platform. More customers are taking orders through the platform. Our customers use our platform to print their shipping labels when they ship products. So again, we've had to scale our whole production of shipping labels for our customers. So definitely lots of challenges around scalability for us, but I'm really confident and pleased with what we've achieved. We've overcome those. We've been able to scale with the customer base. And we're seeing billions of dollars going through the platform, which is really exciting for our business.
Yeah, I mean, it's so nice to hear of a positive story through a tricky time. I mean, looking ahead at capabilities, I mean, do you think that there'll be certain themes that will emerge and thrive after the crisis? That we, it's real crystal ball stuff. I appreciate, but where do you think we're heading?
Yeah, I think it's it's these are unprecedented times as we regularly hear, but I think we can't predict the future. But I think if we think back to the 4 trends that I mentioned around e-commerce penetration, direct to consumer, to do with the strength of marketplaces, the rise of the effortless economy, we think of those things. I think those are here to stay. So those point us to the future. So I think if those are here and they're here to stay, then I think the capabilities that brands and retailers need to have is, I think, firstly, around brand. In a direct consumer world, I think brand becomes so important online. You need to be able to build branded lines of product that you can use as a point of differentiation online. I think it's very hard to be a reseller of product online. So I think that's a capability that's key to businesses. I think a multi-channel strategy, the idea that the effortless economy is here. And if we want to serve the effortless economy, brands and retailers can't just expect consumers to show up on their website. Brands and retailers need to expect that consumers will want to shop elsewhere. And so how do brands and retailers make sure they've got a really coherent, integrated, multi-channel strategy where they can meet their customers, connect with their customers on the customer's terms? So that's another key capability. And then I say the third one is just around the core ability to adapt quickly. What we've learned through COVID is that the world is not standing still. And we have this huge shockwave that's hit us all. And the businesses that are performing best are the ones that have been able to adapt quickest. And so I think it's a message to all of us for the future is, are we building organizations that can adapt quickly? And I think that means, culturally, are we ready to adapt? But then operationally, through technology and through the way that we organize our businesses, have we got the technology, the operations in place to adapt quickly, to keep pace with a changing landscape?
Yeah. No, and such interesting themes. Maybe some parting wisdom, if you don't mind. Have you any practical advice you might give companies as far as pathways and building blocks to growth during this time?
Yeah, I think, there's so much you can do. I think if I was to to boil it down to a couple of things, I think the first thing is just all around focus. So many businesses try to do so much, try to serve so many different audiences. And the result is when you do that, you normally end up delivering a kind of diluted offering to lots of different audiences rather than being an absolute expert in one area. So I think the key thing, particularly in a time like this, is double down on what you're good at. Focus your resources in the areas where you can serve your customers really well, because that's likely the area you can also drive a really good business model, really good return on investment on the investment that you make within your business. So focus, don't try to be all things to all people. But at the same time, it's clear we're living in a volatile environment, right? And I think new opportunities are presenting themselves. And these moments don't come around often. So I think when you see an opportunity, my encouragement would be to jump in. Don't hold back. If you've got conviction and opportunity, now is probably a good time to try and go after that opportunity, because if there's a strong market behind it, then you're going to see the fruit of that and it will yield a great outcome. So focus, go after opportunities. And then I think the third thing is, you've got to be kind to yourself as an individual. These are choppy waters, as it were. It's tough. Running a business can be hard. Being in a position of influence in an organization, it's challenging at a time like this. And no one has the crystal ball. No one has the answer. So I think through all of this is for each of us taking time out, not try to carry all of it ourselves and be a total hero, but look to others for answers, take time for ourselves, and recognize that there's going to be highs and lows along the journey, and that's all part of being involved with a business, running an organization.
Callum, thank you so much for your contributions today. I mean, it's so encouraging to hear those. It's words of wisdom, but it's also such an upbeat story. It's what a lot of people will be needing at the moment. So thanks for that. And I'm personally very excited about the Payoneer and Linnworks partnership thriving and accelerating.
Great.
Thanks again, and no doubt we'll speak again soon. Thank you.
Nice one. Thanks so much. Cheers. Thank you.